thought January was already okay, but this Russian-Ukraine war started. Oil price hike. Grabe, mas mahal pang diesel kaysa gasoline ngayon. But despite that, our market is really not very cooperative. But Bank of Commerce is braving its offering to raise 3.3 billion to expand its capital base and fulfill its objective of offering more banking services as a universal bank. And this IPO hopefully will do that for them. In this conversation, we will try to see how management is reshaping the future of Bank of Commerce. Okay, let's get this show on the road. To know more about the company, allow me to introduce the people behind BNCOM. BNCOM is led none other than their president and CEO, Michelangelo Aguilar. Mike, for short, has over 38 years of banking experience in the areas of corporate and investment banking, global markets, and treasury. He had experience giving senior positions with local and international banks, starting with Citibank, then Solid Bank. He had Standard Chartered and RCBC. And in July 2018, he was elected member of the board and president and CEO of BNCOM. Also joining us is Mr. Manuel Castañeda III, Executive Vice President and Corporate Banking Head. Tetet has more than 28 years of extensive banking experience covering corporate, commercial, transaction, SME, and consumer banking, among other key areas. He previously was with iBank and then Union Bank, and then served as President and CEO of Producers Bank, and also later as Senior Vice President and Global Banking for the Philippines, as Head of Global Banking in Maybank, Philippines. And next, joining us as well is Anton Laquindanum, BNCOM Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Anton has 24 years of experience in the finance and banking industry here and overseas. Previously, he was Chief Financial Officer and Acting Chief Operating Officer of the Manila office of the Australia and New Zealand Banking Group. Prior to this, he served as consultant in Anderson Consulting Philippines and also Ernst & Young, New York. Later, we may also be joined by Robbie Garland, BNCOM AVP and Investor Relations Officer. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome for their short presentation, Bank of Commerce. Mike?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Marvin, for giving us this opportunity. Let me give you an overview of the bank. In 1963, we were called Overseas Bank of Manila, and we changed our name to Bank of Commerce in 1991. In 2008, San Miguel came in, and we became an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation. In 2016, we changed our new brand promise, We Think Customers. And in 2018, we incorporated in our logo that we are an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation. In 2020, we got an IPO grant of getting our tagline, short name of BNCOM. And last year, of December 23, 2021, the central bank approved our license upgrade from commercial bank to universal bank with just one remaining act, which is to list ourselves in the stock exchange. And now we will, which is on March 31, we will now be a bona fide Unibank, and we can now proceed with our investment banking activities and other product suites of a universal bank. If I can just go through the next slide, just very quickly, an overview. This is our product suite as a commercial bank. Very basic, deposits, commercial loans, etc. We have 140 branches strategically located nationwide. That's our footprint. We have 257 ATMs. Most of them are outside of Metro Manila. Let me just give you some financial highlights. Next slide, please. Okay, I will now be walking you through some key investment highlights. And first and foremost is the showing strong support of the San Miguel Group and the synergies within the ecosystem. Can we have the next slide, please? There is no other greater endorsement except for the guy himself, RSA. First and foremost, as he publicly declared in print, that they will now be leaning heavily on Bank of Commerce to provide financial services to the affiliates and other customers. He is also saying that while banking is an important segment, and Bank of Commerce will play a very important role in helping the economy. And also, finally, the greatest support for your shareholders or your sponsors is the ability to put in capital. So last year, at August of 2021, San Miguel Equivest flunked in 5.5 billion pesos so that we can now achieve the minimum capital requirement of at least 20 billion for a universal bank license. So having said the support and endorsement of our key sponsor, let me just tell you now how we're going to evolve in tapping this potential. Next slide, please. What you can see is San Miguel is the most diversified company in the country. It's into all sorts of industry. You've got food, beverage, infrastructure, power, cement, property development. In 2021, it generated revenues of 941 billion. That's approximately 5% of the country's GDP. Bank of Commerce intends to provide financial solutions to the affiliates, of course, subject to central bank regulations on DOS 3 and loans to affiliate. But the bigger and wider opportunity is providing financial solutions to the supply chain. And when I say supply chains, these are San Miguel's customers, trade partners, suppliers, distributors, even its employees. We are now the bank of choice of San Miguel. If you look at the opportunities as an example, Petron has 2,400 dealers. We will begin to tap them and engage them as part of the ecosystem. There are beer dealers, Magnolia Chicken, Pure Foods Hot Dog, and other dealers that we will tap. So the ecosystem provides the greatest opportunity for Bank of Commerce on its path to growth. For more of the investment highlights, let me now turn you to our head of corporate banking, Tetet Castañeda, to discuss the next investment highlights. Tetet, over to you, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sir Mike. In 2018, the bank undertook a fundamental change to refresh the management team to kick off a new phase of growth for BNCOM. In 2018, the bank hired Mr. Aguilar as CEO and spearheaded its initiative. He has over about 35 years in banking experience in corporate banking, investment banking, global markets, and treasury, including 22 years of international banking experience with Citibank, Philippines, and Standard Chartered Bank. The bank also hired a new CFO, Anton Laquindanum, who came from ANZ Group, and I myself actually came in late 2017 from Maybank Group. Furthermore, there were numerous management changes and organizational changes undertaken to position the bank for growth. First is the creation of a transaction banking headed by Gail Bautista. Gail has extensive experience and international exposure from Standard Chartered Bank as well as Deutsche Bank. Second is the elevation of the trust division into a trust group headed by Mr. Boyet Benavides. Boyet has extensive experience in international stints such as in Sun Life, Banco Santander, and Citibank Philippines. Third is the consolidation of credit card and debit card management, marketing, and sales under Kat Felix. Kat has experience including in fintech and international banking with Bank of America. Fourth is the IT division was also reorganized as a digital services group under Mr. Donald Dimcauco. Donald is actually an experienced IT guy coming from BDO and international stint also with Bank of America and Deloitte. And lastly is also the activation of cross-selling programs through the branch network headed by Mr. Joel Caranto, a former branch banking head of Maybank Philippines. So we in management will continue to look for opportunities in the market today, and our aim is really to continue the success we've made as way back in 2018. The vast diverse experience, including international, of this new management team has been key in reshaping the minds of the existing Bank of Commerce employee towards a new foray of harnessing synergies towards a more dynamic and future-ready bank. Next slide, please. So in addition, our management team is guided by a strong, seasoned board of directors. Our board is actually composed of 15 directors led by Chairman Jose Pardo, who is actually the concurrent chairman of Philippine Stock Exchange. Chairman Pardo has a vast career in banking and finance spanning both government and private sector. I note that Chairman Pardo has tendered his resignation as a regular director of the bank, effective upon the date of approval of PSC. Our board consists of individuals who are highly regarded in the Philippine business landscape and in their respective field. Just to mention a few, we have Director Jose Nograles, who is a seasoned investment banker and an economist. He was the president of PDIC and a former senior executive in Land Bank. Director Febarin has spent more than 40 years at the BSP and also a former chairman of the Security and Exchange Commission. Director Añano Desierto is a former ombudsman of the Philippines. Our board is actually composed of a healthy mix of diverse individuals with backgrounds collectively has about decades of extensive involvement in banking, financial services, and other industries. Aside from the 15 board members, we also have 5 advisors who assist us in the overall decision-making. The bank advisors include Mr. Ferdinand Constantino, who is the CFO and Treasurer of San Miguel, Ms. Aurora Babes Calderon, who is the Director and a Senior Executive Assistant to Mr. Ramon Ang. Both of them hold key executive positions within the San Miguel Group. The next investment highlight is the bank's nimble and agile culture and workflow, which allows BNCOM to act quickly and prudently when the opportunity arises, which we believe contributed to most of our results for the last 2 years. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, our BNCOM has a banner year. We actually complied with the community quarantine restriction imposed by the government. Although operating at a limited capacity during the start of the ECQ, we ensured that our branches are open in order for BNCOM's client to service. By end 2020, all of our branches were already fully operationalized. In 2020 also, BNCOM was able to launch its first mobile banking platform, which is called BNCOM Personal. Further, the bank also upgraded its core banking server hardware during that year. In terms of our loan portfolio, we were able to shift our priority from consumer accounts to commercial and corporate. We were able to pare down our consumer loan exposure to 20% by the end of 2020. And as of September 2021, our consumer loan exposure was reduced to 18.5%. Amidst the challenging environment, we were able to expand our deposit to 149 billion, which is a 20.4% increase from 2019. Our net interest income and net profit also increased by 23.5% and 20.2% respectively from 2019. Our core business segment continued to perform well historically, and our business segments such as credit card, transaction banking, and trust were also able to grow its revenue. Credit card was able to almost double its revenue in the 2 years. Similarly, trust services and transaction banking have grown by 50% during the same period. Although such segments contribute aggregately to about 10 to 15% of the bank's revenue, these businesses will be an integral part of BNCOM growth moving forward. We are a nimble and agile bank. We are able to capitalize on the opportunities present in the market today. And this is evidenced by the strong compounded annual growth rate posted by BNCOM's business segment from 2018 to 2020. We have been prudent in growing our balance sheet. As seen in our chart, our asset has been growing at a healthy pace. As of September 30, 2021, our total asset stood close to about 200 billion. The SMC ecosystem provides BNCOM various opportunities to cross-sell its product services directly by providing financial solutions to San Miguel businesses, indirectly by tapping the San Miguel Group's network of customers, trade partners, vendors, distributors, contractors, and employees. I note that there's a potential for expansion for the bank client base by tapping the middle market segment of the San Miguel ecosystem, such as the Petron dealer, the San Miguel beer distributors, and other customers of the group. Further, reaching out to the customers would allow BNCOM to cross-sell other products such as cash management, foreign exchange, trade finance, and other services. Of the total market of the San Miguel ecosystem involving thousands of dealers, distributors, and suppliers, and more than 2,400 Petron dealers, the bank has onboarded around 80 counterparties for various lending products and more than 200 dealers and distributors for the automatic debit arrangement on their deposit accounts. Next slide. Our balance sheet has also been supported by a deposit base which is mainly sourced from low-cost deposit. As of September 2021, our deposit base stood at 167 billion. A significant portion of the deposit is attributed to savings and demand deposit, which accounts to about 90% of the total deposit liabilities. Likewise, in March 2020, we were able to tap the capital markets and we raised 5 billion in LT and CD that provided us additional funding. Our bank has a liquid balance sheet, allowing us to assume a ready-to-deploy stance, especially so when the economy recovers and lending opportunities abound. The balance sheet has also been driven by the loan book, which accounts for about 40% of the bank's asset and as of September 30, 2021. Next slide, please. In 2020, there was a slight decline in our loans due to muted lending activities due to the pandemic. This notwithstanding, as of September 30, 2021, our loan book has already exceeded pre-pandemic levels. We strive to maintain a healthy balance between high asset quality and a healthy balance sheet while pursuing growth. In terms of asset quality, we were able to preserve our NPLs through our conservative risk management approach. Further, we exercise prudent of non-performing loans with our NPL cover at 108% as of September 2021. Our gross NPL as of September 2021 stood at 3% versus 4% for the industry and 6% for local banks. As of the third quarter of 2021, 45.6% of the bank's loan book is adequately collateralized. I'll hand you over now to CFO Anton Laquindanum to discuss the next investment highlight. Anton?
Good afternoon, everyone. So as Tetet mentioned, I'd like everybody to recall a lot of our revenue growth has been double digits in the past since the 2018 management change. But as you can see here, we've also ensured that our expenses were at the single digits. So since 2018, costs have been up by only about 6.6% per year. And in fact, for 2021, our costs have only been up 1% year on year, the same period. And a lot of that's been driven by the PDIC insurance we've been paying for our increased deposits. With this strong control over expenses, our cost-to-income ratio has been going down to 71% as of 2020. There's been a slight uptick in 2021, but that's primarily because of projects starting up again after the restart of the pandemic. Management still committed to continuing to improve the cost-to-income ratio to bring us to industry levels. If we go to the next slide, you'll see that this double-digit growth in revenue and control over expenses has led to a significant improvement of our net income. 2020 net income was up 20%, and in fact, for the first 9 months of 2021, we were already up 26%. This has improved our return on assets. We're up to about, and return on equity is up to about 4.8% at the end of 2020 and 0.5% for return on assets. And we continue to see the improved return on equity in 2021. Finally, I'd just like to clarify once again the use of proceeds. As mentioned in the prospectus, at the price of about 12 pesos, we're expecting to raise about 3.2 billion pesos net. More than half of that is going to our lending activities. So focused on our strategy with the SMC ecosystem. And then 1/3 of it, more than 900 million pesos, will go into CapEx to improve our ATM fleet and our core banking system. The remaining balance will really be to purchase securities to meet the requirements that the BSP has for banks in terms of liquidity. To clarify this a little more, if we go to the next slide, we just wanted to point out that the IT investment we're getting from the IPO is already in addition to the investment we've done from 2019 to 2021. We've invested more than 1 billion pesos already, and the most visible one is the mobile application we migrated in 2020 and actually upgraded just recently in January 2022. So this new application has new features, as well as new security things. And we've also started investing in behind the scenes in our risk management reports, as well as our anti-money laundering system. We've upgraded our treasury system and our trust system. We're also working with the same vendor to improve the systems in regards to our cash units, trade, and other risk reporting units. So we continue to adopt new technologies, and the IPO is really just one step in the bank's continued investment in technology. Finally, I think if we go to the next slide, the most important thing I want to highlight, the reason the bank is doing this IPO now is to achieve the final step of the universal banking license. By getting a universal banking license, we will be able to add an investment banking group and a bank assurance group to our team. We've already hired our new investment banking group head, and we expect to start generating business as early as this year once we get the final certificate of authority to act like a business bank. Given that, we'll expect to see increase in fee revenues. We'll be able to have new products we can offer our customers, and we can generate new interest-bearing assets for deposits. All in all, this will help us focus on our SMC ecosystem strategy. SMC, again, had generated about 941 billion in revenues, 5% of the GDP of the Philippines. It touches everybody from people recycling San Miguel beer bottles back to our breweries, all the way to our power affiliates, funding, providing power to corporations. And the bank is targeting to become the common thread, providing supply chain financing to SMC's third-party vendors and its suppliers. I hope this covers some of your questions. I'll turn it back to the team for our Q&A session. Thank you again.